no question that if this goes as planned, if we see those remaining hostages freed and Israel begin its withdrawal, it is a remarkable achievement, and President Trump most certainly deserves credit for his role. He has done this through diplomacy, pressure, and the sheer force of his personality and persistence.
Martha Raddatz on ABC's Good Morning America this morning. Isn't that hosted by the Clinton administration official George Snuffleupagus? I believe it is. That's their idea of fair and balanced, even-handed at ABC. What do they pay him? $25 million a year. Isn't that remarkable? But they're kind of forced to fess up. There are celebrations going on in Israel and in Gaza. But they're still looking forward to getting back to the killing when they can, no doubt. No doubt about that. Womp, womp, womp. Isn't that wild? You know the band Kiss. They wear that face makeup and stuff. Gene Simmons, the big kind of the front face man for Kiss. Kiss rocker Gene Simmons recovering after crashing SUV. Malibu, California, the Associated Press. Kiss rock star Gene Simmons is recovering after he fainted while driving along the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu and crashed his SUV into a parked car. He fainted. He looked in the rearview mirror. He saw himself, and he was so taken by himself that he fainted. It's like a girl seeing a rock star. So Gene Simmons recovering after fainting while driving along Pacific Coast Highway, Malibu, California, crashed his SUV into a parked car. Simmons, co-founder and bassist for the legendary band Kiss, was evaluated at a local hospital Tuesday before being released. He posted on social media saying, "Thanks, everybody, for the kind wishes. I'm completely fine. I had a slight fender bender. It happens." 76-year-old driving his SUV crossed several lanes before hitting a parked car along the highway. Agencies that responded to the crash told several media outlets. Simmons said that he was transported to a hospital. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said Kiss, he retired from a half century of touring. Simmons did in 2023. But Simmons and his bandmates plan to play in November at a special event in Las Vegas, Nevada. Not Nevada, Jeff, Nevada. See how that goes? In August, President Donald Trump announced that Kiss will be among this year's Kennedy Center honorees. So it's good that he didn't crash and die. But apparently it was a pretty severe crash at a high rate of speed, and we got all that going for us. So we have that. We have that going for us. First, I thought it was Richard Simmons. But then, oh, yeah, that's right. He already died. So last year, don't worry about that. It wasn't Richard Simmons. So that's okay. All right, now we haven't finished up on Democrat California gubernatorial candidate and front runner. Apparently, I heard yesterday that she's the front runner, Katie Porter, for that, which is pretty amazing. And then I want to get into the government shutdown, which the Democrats did, and the Democrats are enjoying, and they're lying about it, and the media is lying about it too, which is why nobody trusts anybody anymore, right? But Katie Porter, where did we leave off on that, Katie Porter? Because there's so much of her to get to. We were doing the CBS interview, and she was yelling at the nice reporter lady, and the nice reporter lady saying, "But I'm asking all the candidates the same list of questions, and you're refusing to answer my questions." And she's like, "Oh, you got 7 follow-ups. You can't ask 7 follow-ups. And just read the question the way that it's written, like she scripted the question ahead of time or something." And just being a very unpleasant person with the nice reporter lady, who was actually doing the job that you might expect a reporter to do. Julie Watts was the one doing the interview with Katie Porter.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care. I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation, which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
reporter. I have never had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
they're so arrogant because the press usually asks the questions they want them to ask. They take whatever question the Democrats give them. They don't get uppity. They just bow to the Democrats. They kneel before Zod, and they don't say, well, I've got a follow-up. Well, I don't answer follow-ups. Talk about authoritarian. Talk about fascist, the arrogance of this woman. Just great. And the nice reporter lady, Watts, just kept trying.
Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about.
See, the station was working, and it's a very intelligent thing to do. The station, CBS station out in California, local station, was working on asking each and every Democrat candidate, and maybe the Republican candidate too, the same list of questions, and then they were going to put together like a 1-hour special where here's what these candidates said to this question, and then you get to see what all the candidates said to this question. Then the next question, here's what all the candidates said to that. But Katie Porter, with her authoritarian, Gestapo-style approach to all of this, she's having none of it, and she assumes that she can just tell a reporter what to ask, and here's the answer, and stop bothering me with all your reportery questions. Isn't that amazing? So I don't want to have a bad time. She don't want to have a bad time. She said she wants to have a pleasant, positive experience and doesn't want to have an unhappy experience. Well, it's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? Because just that's not what Republicans get. Republicans get screamed at and shouted down and talked over and a list of demands, and there will be as many damn follow-ups as I want. But Katie Porter, she's lived as a Democrat all of her grotesque adult life, and she assumes that everyone will kneel before Zod, right? Now, Katie Porter, just because, let's go to 21 because I love these sound bites so much of Katie Porter, former member of the House of Representatives, running for governor of California, and it used to be a big deal to be governor of our most populous state and all of that. Katie Porter Classics.
I told my 9-year-old daughter that I was going to be speaking with you, and I said, what do you think about climate change? And she said, the earth is on fire, and we're all going to die soon. And I asked her how that made her feel, and she said it made her feel angry.
It made her feel angry that the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon. That was during a hearing with the always hilarious Greta von Thunberg. You know, Greta Thunberg, who has been used by the left, the Democrat Party, to be a fake environmentalist. Now she's anti-Israel and pro-Hamas. And she was arrested for breaking laws in Israel and put in what she said was a lice-infested cell, probably the lice left behind by a member of Hamas, because they love lice. They bring lice with them wherever they go. And then what did she do? She was in the news for another item in the last couple of days too. She is profoundly annoying. She really is. Katie Porter, and her 9-year-old daughter responded, "The earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon." And then instead of saying, "No, honey, that's not the case," she said, "How does that make you feel?" Because she's indoctrinating a suicide bomber. This is how Hamas raises their children, and Katie Porter might as well be a member of Hamas. And then that was her 9-year-old daughter, right? And then 3 years after that, she told another story on the record and on camera. Now that her daughter is 12 years old, Donald Trump had been reelected to a second term, and this is what her 12-year-old daughter, this is their dinner table conversation in the Katie Porter household.
On election night, I went to pick up my daughter, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, "Did someone punch you? Like, what happened?" And she said, "Mom, Trump's going to win. What if I get raped and I need to have an abortion?" This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter.
Yeah, well, Child Protective Services should show up at your home and take the child away because you're not a fit parent. And you're not a fit governor, and you're not a fit member of the House of Representatives. You're not even a fit adult. You should be expelled from Western civilization, maybe handed over to Hamas. Isn't that amazing? That's just great stuff. Her 12-year-old daughter, Trump is being like, she's sobbing, she's crying hysterically. Trump is going to win. She knew the future. And what if I get raped? 12 years, it's California. They're Democrats. They, get in the hot tub with the sexually compatible signs of the zodiac. They're not well, and they're raising the next generation. This young girl is going to have to be deprogrammed when she breaks away from this lunatic leftist mother who has no business raising children, none whatsoever. But listen to this, because this is a new one from Katie Porter. She's talking about child molesters, pedophiles, who sexually abuse children, and how does she, and she talks about grooming, she's defending pedophiles, and she wants to debate the terminology, but apparently being a pedophile is a sexual orientation or a sexual preference, and you don't want to discriminate against pedophiles. You don't want to discriminate against child molesters, according to the Democrat former congresswoman who wants to be governor of California, Katie Porter.
This allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity.
Their sexual orientation, their gender identity, just because they're pedophiles, because they're child molesters, which you go to prison for. And she calls it a sexual orientation, a preference. It's isn't that amazing? The words that she uses to describe a child molester, and how dare you talk about discriminating against a felon who molests children. As you know, how many illegal aliens have been arrested in the last couple of years for sexually assaulting children? You could fill airliner after airliner with them. Isn't that amazing? So pedophiles, and don't label them groomers just because they're targeting children. You treat them like they're a criminal just because they're child rapists. Any sexual assault on a child is a rape. But isn't that amazing? Katie Porter, then speaking of illegal alien rapists and murders, Katie Porter talking about Laken Riley, young girl murdered by an illegal alien. He was a gang member too, wasn't he? The murderer. And here is former Democrat Congresswoman wants to be governor of California, Katie Porter, on Laken Riley's murder.
Well, I think when a horrible tragedy like this happens, I think whenever we're dealing with violent crime, there is a sense of outrage, of sadness, and of loss. But I think the important thing to focus on is any one instance shouldn't shape our overall immigration policy. Any
one instance. It's a standalone, unless you start ticking off the names of all of the other women, which is a very lengthy list. But that's Katie Porter. She wants to be the governor of our most populous state, the state of California, which may as well just fall off the edge of the earth. We were talking about it yesterday, and at Newsmax, and I just this woman, the language that she uses to describe pedophiles, and condemning anyone who would treat a pedophile as a criminal. You're a criminal if you're a pedophile, and the Democrat Party should be disbanded. It's time for them to go to the ash heap of history. From everyday dinners to effortless entertaining to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience every time. And now, during their early Black Friday sale, you're going to get 50% off the entire website and an extra 20% off selected favorites at omahasteaks.com. At omahasteaks.com. Listen, my best girl and I, we love the Omaha Steaks filet mignons. We sear them up in my grandfather's iron skillet. It's been in use for about 70 years. It's beautiful. Now is the time to save big at Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety. Every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. And right now you save big with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide, the entire website, and an additional 20% off on selected favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use the promo code PLANT at checkout because you and I hang out together. Terms apply. See the site for details. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. The promo code PLANT at checkout. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's this is one of those, it's good to be a Democrat, and if only we had a media stories. You know, Katie Porter, if she were reported on by the news media the way that any Republican would be, she would have dropped out of the race and maybe hurled herself off of the Golden Gate Bridge. I want to get to the Democrat, the Schumer shutdown, and the giant media lie about the government shutdown. Oh, the Republicans did it. They have the brains of 5-year-old children. But before we get into all of that, and also morning joke, somebody accidentally gave Trump credit for Middle East peace. He's going to never be invited back. But let's go to the phones. Let's go to Karen, calling from Poolsville, Maryland. Karen, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning. How are you?
Just great.
I didn't know if this had come up before because I haven't been able to listen for a while, but I was working at NIH back when Obama was in office and the shutdown took place. And, of course, it was the Republicans' fault. But we were called together by our supervisor in preparation for the shutdown, and there were a lot of people at NIH who would have come in anyway without pay or whatever just to keep their animals going or their research going or whatever. But the Obama administration informed us that if we should come in, our supervisor would be personally fined $5,000 or some, there was some, I don't remember if it was 5 or 6, it was some sum in the thousands of dollars that my boss would personally be fined to make sure none of us came in. So,
and they wouldn't fine you, they'd fine your boss to make it even more threatening because now you're screwing over your boss and not yourself.
That's right. So, so he was being punitive. Now, Trump, everybody thinks he's being punitive, but Trump is smarter because he is being punitive, but he's also getting what he wants, getting rid of people that he thinks aren't necessary. So, anyway, Obama was no peach.
That is, Karen, that is wonderful. Yeah, Obama's no peach. Yeah, that's true. And Trump is smarter. And downsizing government, all these non-essential personnel. Now, the question of President Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 is all over the place. In fact, in Israel, there is President Trump's name is being chanted in the streets, and they're chanting Nobel Prize to Trump. People out in the street are out in if this is real, and it may be real, in a field of crops, a farm in Israel. Israeli farmers spelled out a massive message for the world to see, and it's huge. These letters look like they're 15 feet tall in a field of crops, and it spells out Nobel for Trump. Little dyslexia. Nobel, and then the number 4. Trump out in this field, you'd see it. If you're flying at 30,000 feet, you'd see it spelled out in this farm in Israel. The Nobel Peace Prize. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize, and then he used the U.S. military to attack 8 countries around the world, all Muslim countries, by the way. Now, this morning, let's go to that Ignatius soundbite. David Ignatius is a propagandist for the Democrat Party at the Washington Post, has been a long time, and he is used by the intelligence community to launder their propaganda on their messages and their self-promoting message. David Ignatius has been a tool of the intelligence community, as they call it, in Washington for a long, long time. And he was on this morning with Morning Joke on MS-13 DNC. And it may be the last time he's ever on the show, because this morning he actually he committed a terrible faux pas. He gave Trump credit for Middle East peace.
The deal that President Trump is announcing played a key part in negotiating. It is a significant change. This war was blocked for 2 years. President Biden, who preceded him, was unable to find a way to stop it.
What?
President Trump found that way by being tough on both sides. And he'll take a victory lap for sure over the next few days. But it's deserved. There's no way that I can see that this would have been done without Trump's pressure in the final hours.
The headline is Joe Scarborough slack-jawed when their own guest, David Ignatius, gave enormous credit to Donald Trump for Middle East peace. But never mind that. And again, the New York Post, Gazans join Israelis in chanting Trump's name over ceasefire. Nobel Prize to Trump. Jubilant locals in both Gaza and Israel took to the streets early Thursday to celebrate President Trump for his role in the historic ceasefire deal, with many calling for him to get the Nobel Peace Prize.
Nobel Prize to Trump! Nobel Prize to Trump! Nobel Prize to Trump! Nobel Prize
This is in Israel, Tel Aviv, I believe, and
Nobel Prize to Trump! Nobel Prize.
Now, the Nobel people are going to be disinclined, as they have been in the past quite consistently. Footage from both the streets of Tel Aviv and war-torn Gaza showed crowds of revelers celebrating what they hope will be the end of the 2-year war, as they hailed President Donald Trump for helping secure the deal. Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Residents in Gaza could be heard cheering and chanting. You know, those, I don't want to call them poor SOBs, but they've been on the, on the receiving end for quite some time, because their horrible leadership that they elected in a free election that was provided by Israel, and they voted in a terrorist organization called Hamas. And they've been suffering mightily because of their own horrible leadership. And I bet they want the war to stop. That's a good idea. Hey, why didn't I think of that? This war should stop. Trump's plan calls for an immediate ceasefire and exchange of all 48 hostages. And in exchange, they get hundreds and hundreds, I think thousands of convicted terrorists who were sentenced to prison after being put to trial with juries, and they were sentenced to prison. So we want all our criminals back. They're like Democrats in that way. So the exchange portion of the deal would see hostages, 48 of them, many of them already dead, swapped for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, many of whom are serving life sentences in Israeli prisons for being murderers and terrorists. Humanitarian aid would also be allowed to flood in during the ceasefire. Aid has been flowing in the whole time, and for the most part, the troglodytes have been stealing it for themselves and selling it to other people, too. Hamas confirmed the terms of the agreement, praising the efforts of U.S. President Donald Trump for helping secure the deal, along with mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. Turkey has been a big player. They're not good guys. Egypt built the wall higher between the south end of Gaza and Egypt, just on the other side of the wall. And when this war started, they're like, oh, no, we don't want those people coming into Egypt. So they built a giant wall to keep them out. They already had a wall there, but they actually made the wall higher and more difficult to get by, because they don't want these so-called Palestinians coming into Egypt. And the talks going on now, Sharm el-Sheikh, a very expensive, exclusive resort on the southern end of the Sinai Peninsula. Isn't that amazing? So the chants from Israel and Gaza are among the latest calls for Trump to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, the recipient of which will be announced on Friday. That's tomorrow. I almost look forward to the Nobel Committee, picking the head of Hamas or something. I don't think that they will pick Trump. But the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize will be announced on Friday. That is tomorrow, where I live. Trump and his allies have made it clear that the president wants to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, an award he has coveted since his first nomination in 2018, first time he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Among those touting the president's nomination was his son, Eric Trump, who took to X to praise his father and called on the public to show their support. Retweet if you believe Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, Eric Trump wrote on X. A message viewed by more than 1.5 million people, or 1.5 million times, by early Thursday, that is today, with more than 19,000 retweets. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick joined in the praise, echoing, undoubtedly, President Trump should receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, will he? This will be the 8th war around the world that he has been a major factor in bringing to a screeching halt. And Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize before he became president of the United States. He got it for nothing. He got it for having dark skin and being elected president, or being the Democrat Party's nominee. Isn't that amazing? They are truly something. The White House also touted Trump having ended 7 conflicts so far, including between Israel and Iran, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Thailand and Cambodia, India and Pakistan, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Serbia versus Kosovo. President playing a key role in bringing peace in all of those situations. The Democrats will yell at you and smirk and firebomb synagogue when they hear this, because they're not on the side of America or Donald Trump, or civilization, for that matter, at this point. All right, now, with that said, so much still to get to. Let's go to the government shutdown, because the government shutdown, the Democrats shut down the government, Chuck Schumer, and then the news media has spent, how long now, a couple of weeks lying to us about it. Oh, it's the Republicans' fault, it's the Republicans' fault. The Democrats are holding a gun to America's head, and they've got a shakedown, an extortion scheme. The Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, is leading the charge from the lizard perspective. He's one of the, leading lizard people on Earth. And if there are lizard people on Earth, he's definitely one of the leaders. But what did Chuck Schumer say? It's in a print article that Chuck Schumer is bragging, this is so great, we love the government shutdown, we're getting everything we want. Everything he says is a lie. He's such a lizard. But here is the Speaker of the House, a Republican, Mike Johnson, quoting Schumer with his Weasley language.
And I just want to tell you one of the most outrageous things I've seen since I've been following politics in the mid-'80s when I was a kid in the Reagan era. Chuck Schumer did an interview last night and bragged, this is what he said, quote, he had the audacity to say, quote, every day of this shutdown gets better for us, his party. I don't even know how to comment on that. It's so stunning to me.
The headline from Punchbowl, Why Schumer Thinks Dems Have Momentum. And from Forbes magazine, Schumer says every day gets better for Democrats amid the shutdown. It's extortion, it's gangsterism, it's typically criminal conduct by the Democrat Party's leadership. Democrats are showing no signs of letting up on their health care demands in exchange for their votes to reopen the government, and believe Americans will increasingly blame Republicans, thanks to a corrupt news media, for the shutdown, according to multiple reports indicating the government could be closed for weeks. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat, New York, said he believes that holding the line benefits Democrats' image and hurts Republicans the more they threaten permanent workforce and funding cuts, telling Punchbowl in an interview published Thursday, every day gets better for us, adding, every time they try something, it doesn't quite work. Then the threat of shutting things. Now, this is truly amazing stuff, and our news media is so profoundly corrupt in so many ways. But there's one story today that was looking to tell the truth, and it was the people at The Hill, which is a newspaper, and it's I think a reliably Democrat Party newspaper, and their headline today is actually the truth, and that is Democrats vote for a 6th time to keep the government shut down. Yesterday, the Democrats once again voted to keep the government shut down, and they're happy about that. That's shutdown enters 2nd week as Democrats block funding bill for 6th time. And Al Weaver at the Hill covering the Senate. Shutdown enters 2nd week as Democrats block funding bill for 6th time. And that's exactly what's happening. As the Democrats are voting to keep the government shut down, and then the news media says, oh, the Republicans aren't giving in to the Democrats and giving them $1.5 trillion to bail out Obamacare and to fund health care at our expense for illegal alien gang members that are raping and marauding and everything else. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, came out this morning to talk about this.
How callous he can be to play political games and use American citizens as the pawns in a political game. We're in day 9. The consequences of this Democrat shutdown are very real, and he can mock it and he can pretend like it gets better for him. It doesn't. It doesn't get better for the country.
It gets better for the Democrats. They don't care about the country. They're selfish, self-interested, left-wing extremists. They're radicals. Their people are rioting and burning and attacking the police. And the Democrats in Chicago are not sending police to back up federal law enforcement under attack by Democrat mobs. And honestly, as Mike Johnson said, Chuck Schumer's callous play, his games, doesn't care about the citizens of the United States, using all of the citizens of the United States as pawns, which naturally reminded us of Mongo.
Mongo only pawn in game of life.
The Schumer and the Democrats making all Americans into Mongo because they're incredibly selfish. The Senate Majority Leader, Senator Thune, John Thune, this morning talking about what Schumer said about how every day it gets better for the Democrats.
We'll see if Democrats once again bow to the demands of their far-left base, which is telling them to hold out, or to their strategists who tell them that they're, quote, winning the shutdown. Well, based on the reporting this morning, Democrats couldn't care less whether military families miss a paycheck tomorrow. In an interview posted this morning, the Democrat leader said, every day gets better for us.
Now, let's see if all the networks lead with that tonight. And the lead of the Washington Post and the New York Times, that's where it becomes good to be a Democrat because they cover it up for you. They say, oh, that'll make Schumer look bad. That'll make the Democrats look bad. We will just exclude that. That won't be part of our reporting. That's where we come in on talk radio and Newsmax and a couple of other places. Yesterday, Democrat Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, also known as Sheldon Whiteman and Sheldon Whites Only, because he belongs to this Whites Only yacht club in Rhode Island that his wife pays for. And so he says, I'm not even a member. He rides his wife's coattails because she has all the money. And he's the biggest stuffed shirt since, 1930s movies on Washington. Sheldon Whitehouse.
Senator, while we have you, of course, where government shutdown is now more than a week on, what is your faith right now in the leadership of Senator Schumer, the minority leader of your party, to navigate this?
I think Democrats, it's so far so good.
Hey, so far so good. Doesn't get much better than this. Yeah, they're winning. It's a propaganda war. And when you own 98% of the news media and the popular media, they're doing it on late night TV. They're doing it on, what are supposed to be comedy shows, the Democrat Party's propaganda. Oh, isn't this great? The Republicans shouldn't shut down. It's an extortion racket. Schumer should be arrested under the RICO statutes for racketeering. The shakedown is over $1 trillion this time. They're bailing out Obamacare. The Washington Post said, turns out the Affordable Care Act wasn't affordable after all. Never was. It's always been a scam, a gangster racket. And next, the Democrat that burned Pacific Palisades in California. You'll never guess. You'll never guess. right, so a guy was arrested in Florida for setting the fire in Pacific Palisades that destroyed billions and thousands of houses and killed a significant number of people. They say he's facing 20 years in prison for killing 12 people and costing about, 7,000 homes, $150 billion. I think you should get 5 years for each of the 7,000 homes and 50 years for each of the 12 people. But you may recall that the Democrats, that everything is politics for them. They attributed the fire perpetrated by an arsonist who gave money to Act Blue, the Biden-backing left-wing fundraising organization. And the Democrats, one after another, they blamed climate change.
I think we all understand in our city that due to climate change, we're going to continue to see very unusual weather events.
Yeah, and your brain is fried by the sun. L.A. Democrat Mayor Karen Bass, former member of the House. Senator now, Adam Schiff.
If we don't attack this bigger problem of climate change, who knows how long this fire season is going to go in the future.
They had no water in the reservoirs, no water coming out of the fire hydrants.
Natural disasters caused by our changing climate is real, so we have to look at policy issues to try to mitigate and prevent in the long term.
Yeah, Democrats are more responsible than the great ball of fire in the sky. The governor in the sky, Governor Gavin Newsom.
It breaks your heart. I mean, this is an issue, and by the way, persists in California because of the acuity of the new realities. Hot's getting hotter, dry's getting drier, wet's getting wetter, these atmospheric rivers, all the flooding that we've experienced.
Wivers, they got wivers. The acting U.S. Attorney Bill Essay.
Today, we are announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht for igniting a fire that ultimately burned down the Palisades earlier this year, killing 12 people, destroying more than 6,800 structures.
About 7,000 homes, $150 billion in damage. And he's a Democrat Party donor. He was raised partly in France. He is, we'll find out later that he's transgender too, but so far he appears to just be male Democrat.